He was born in the heart of Kansas during the Great Depression, homegrown to become a valiant soldier of the greatest generation, turning his life of service to his country and the political arena to become later one of the nation's greatest Senate leaders. Bob Dole was born July 22nd of 1923 in Russell, Kansas. In his earlier days, he was a strong, natural-born athlete. Legendary Kansas coach Phog Allen came to visit him at the family business in Russell to recruit him for the Jayhawks, where Bob played basketball, football, and ran track. And he was smart. After his education at KU, the University of Arizona, and then Washburn, the Army took him into its service next. Most all Kansans know the heroic story of Bob Dole's service with the 10th Mountain Battalion at Casteldiano in Italy. He was seriously wounded, permanently losing the use of his right arm. Many years of treatment, starting at Winter General Hospital in Topeka, took him near and far, but nothing would allow him to regain the use of his right arm. It was then that Bob Dole made up his mind to look forward, not back, with a new life in politics firmly planted in Topeka. It was an act of fate in Kansas City's Kemper Arena that launched Bob Dole into the national arena. Gerald Ford's heated challenge from Ronald Reagan prompted the president to select Bob Dole as his bicentennial year running mate. It was a post-Watergate race they would lose to Jimmy Carter. The next Democrat to occupy the White House, Bill Clinton, defeated Bob Dole, who was then at the head of the ticket in 1996. He had resigned his Senate seat and leadership post to focus on the job he'd coveted his entire life, President of the United States, saying he would go to the White House or go home. In one of Kansas's most colorful political events ever, his closest political friends flocked to Lawrence for the spectacular dedication of the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics. Tom Brokaw anchored the center's opening. As Dole heard political friends sing his praises.
It's as much or more relevant than the day that it opened as a forum for folks to come together and talk civilly about political issues from across the spectrum. I don't think that there's ever been a greater need, perhaps, for a place like the Dole Institute, and the place where we can not only talk about those issues that are happening now and in the future, but also look at historical perspectives.
Author Bob Woodward of Watergate and Washington Post fame told an audience in Lawrence that Robert Dole will be remembered as the man that 36 million Americans thought should have been president. Kansans thanked him by making him one of the first honorees on the Walk of Honor outside the State House. He said hello and goodbye in his own tour, always expressing his love and admiration for Kansas and its values.
I love the people, whether they supported me or not, they're Kansan. You know, you can be a traditional Republican conservative and still understand that sometimes compromise is necessary. I just enjoyed my work. I had a great opportunity because of the people of Kansas.
In 2018, the year that America lost President and First Lady George and Barbara Bush and Senator John McCain, Washington embraced Bob Dole. In January, the beginning of the year, honoring him with the Congressional Gold Medal.
I think the good senator is fond of saying you can take the boy out of Kansas, but you can't take Kansas out of the boy. I know this is true when it comes to Senator Dole. The senator is always checking in on us to those of us back home, making sure Kansans know they still have a special place in his heart. That commitment to the people of the great state of Kansas is truly inspiring.
2018 ended with the World War II veteran who had worked his way to the top of the Washington political scene being lifted from his wheelchair to honor another man who had done the same thing, the late former President George Herbert Walker Bush. America will never forget these images, and now Americans will be mourning his passing as well. The man who was with Bob Dole from Capitol Hill right through to the Dole Institute, Bill Lacey, agrees. Those are the values we'll remember Bob Dole for during the great generations yet to come.
I view him, and I view his legacy, Ralph, as a conservative Republican who is able to reach out to the other side and find common ground, and who participated in most every significant piece of legislation passed in the last half of the last century in Congress. Whether it was the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Civil Rights Acts, a whole variety of things. He did so much and was part of so much that I think he'll be remembered. His legacy will be more about what he did in the Senate, his leadership in the Senate, than it will be his runs for president.